Wow, cabrón. Thank you very much for that applause with one hand in your pocket. My name is Jose Obando. I am the salsa curator of the musical instruments department of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The museum has been collecting musical instruments from an anthropological perspective for 141 years. My department, the instruments that I collect, Afro, Amerindian, Antillean, that pertain to the American musical genre known as salsa. Now, the name of today's lecture is Salsa is New Yorican, and I'm going to give you the points of why I am at the Metropolitan Museum of Art on Fifth Avenue with a program that pertains to salsa. Is because salsa was amalgamated by Puerto Ricans and New Yorkers, and primarily in Spanish Harlem. Spanish Harlem is 17 blocks from the 141-year-old musical instruments collection housed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art on Fifth Avenue. Let me introduce a gentleman playing the Puerto Rican cuatro, one of the 5 national string instruments of Puerto Rico, Mr. Lorenzo Rodriguez, representing Puerto Rico. Directly from Co-op City, Puerto Rican parents, Puerto Rican grandparents. Robert Agrón, qué vacilón. Aplauso, please. Loíza Aldea, one of the most Afrocentric cities in Puerto Rico, has this for a son. Frankie Perez. This instrument is called a pandero. It's the seguidor. There's 3 of them. In Africa, all things come in 3s. One is the base, one is the foundation, the frame, then you have the second one, that's the seguidor, and then you have the improvisational one. So I'm going to play the seguidor in a rhythm called plena. Now, salsa contains approximately 85 folkloric musical influences. 85. Fortunately, Fab NYC has given us enough money, so we're gonna play 72. So you're gonna be here for a while. Order pizza. By the way, there will be mouth-to-mouth resuscitation station over there after you get through dancing. But for now, Elena me dijo a mí, yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pa' pueblo de Manatí. Yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pa' pueblo de Manatí. Elena me dijo, Elena me dijo, un día que me amanecí, yo no aguanto más las cosas que me suceden aquí. Yo no aguanto más las cosas que tú me haces a mí. Elena me dijo a mí, yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pa' pueblo de Manatí. Yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pa' pueblo de Manatí. A Elena le dije, a Elena le dije, tú tienes que comprender que cuando vienen los viernes yo me dedico a beber, que cuando vienen los viernes yo me dedico a beber. Elena me dijo a mí, yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pueblo de Manatí. Yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pa' pueblo de... Elena me dijo, tú empieces a bostezar. Dije, yo abrí la boca, era mi turno de hablar. Es que yo abrí la boca, que era mi turno de hablar. Elena me dijo a mí, yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pa' pueblo de Manatí. Yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pa' pueblo de Manatí. Elena le dije, tú tienes mi corazón. Ven acá, no seas tan terca, ven acá, toma bombón. Ven acá, no seas tan terca, ven acá, toma bombón. Elena me dijo a mí, yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, pueblo de Manatí. Yo me voy pa' Quinto Santo, Lorenzo Rodríguez. Thank you very much for that eyelash applause. Okay, now, the cuatro is one of the 5 national string instruments of Puerto Rico. The name of the instrument cuatro is because at one point there was a very ancient instrument that had 4 strings. Now it has 10 strings and they're in pairs. The instruments that would rival this would be the oud, or the tiple, or the bordonua. And so, for some reason, it ended up with the name cuatro. Now, I've done research into it, and there's one man, Lopez Garcia, who went to Spain to get a doctorate in comparative music of Spain and Puerto Rico, and he couldn't come up with a definitive answer. So my job is to teach. So I will say it has nebulous origins, but here it is. When you go to learn that instrument, they will teach you the repertoire. They're not going to teach you Tutti Frutti or Long Tall Sally. They're going to teach you seis, villancico, and aguinaldo, which is music that's used for Christmas. Queen Isabella of Aragon used to run Spain. She united Spain under one religion and one flag, because basically in Europe you have a lot of provinces and they all have fiefdoms and they have dukes well, she united Spain, and in January of 1492 she throws out all the Moors that had been there for 800 years and the Jews. The only way you could stay is if you converted to Catholicism, because she was a rabid Catholic. She got a papal bull to start the Spanish Inquisition. She was a tertiary nun of the Franciscan order, and she was buried in Franciscan robes so she would have easy access to heaven. And so in January of 1492, she throws out all the Moors, throws out all the Jews, and unites Spain. In April, she signed, April 1492, she signs with Columbus. In October, Columbus is in the Caribbean. So when she realizes that there's a new Spain, she writes an edict saying, all of the colonizers that I'm sending to Spain, because remember, she would select people to send to Spain. It wasn't like you got on the boat, Queen Isabella gave me a all-inclusive, I'm going to Cuba. No, she would select you. And she said, all of my new colonizers going to my new Spain are required to take along a string instrument to observe the Catholic faith and to attract new converts. So you have the oud in Cuba, you have the harp in the Andes. Where in the countries that speak Spanish can you not find the guitar? That's Isabella and her Catholicism. So now we're going to play something called an aguinaldo, which means a gift in the proper dictionary terminology. But it also means this particular type of music, which is played for Christmas. Now, usually musical industries shut down for Christmas, unless you want to sing chestnuts roasting on an open fire or jingle bells. But on the other hand, Puerto Ricans swing into Christmas right after Thanksgiving, Advent, and they go all the way to Three Kings Day, January the 6th. That's a long Christmas. So this is when the rest of the music world shuts down. The Puerto Ricans swing into action during that whole period, and they play seis, villancico, and aguinaldo. By the way, the seis variations, there's approximately 30 to 35. Each town has a variation of the seis, and each neighborhood now is developing their variation of the seis. We keep on adding up the numbers. There's 85 musical influences in salsa. Aguinaldo, por favor. Alejandra, what happened to the tip jar that I left here not 10 minutes ago? Okay, it was the aguinaldo is accompanied by the national taíno instrument. This is a gourd. This is a vegetable instrument. It is not African. It was given to us by the Taínos. Now the Taínos were among a number of tribes that were in the Caribbean, a very large number of tribes that were in the Caribbean, the archipelago. But the Taínos stand out because they started what's called subsistence gardening, which let them stray from hunter-gathering, which is a very insecure way of feeding yourself. So when they went into subsistence gardening, they became more stable and were able to set up villages and settlements all over the Caribbean. This is how they became so strong. And usually history books say that we were decimated because of the diseases that the Europeans brought, and of course gunpowder that they also purchased from China, and of course their lovely swords. But in fact, DNA now proves that we're still here. The reason why I say we is because I'm part native. Check this profile. Check this hair. You wish they don't make this in Boston. So this is called a guiro, and it's the Puerto Rican version. See, the frets are very close to each other, and this is the Cuban version. It's still a gourd. Take everything out of it, same way you do with a pumpkin during Halloween. You put the frets into it. You put it under the sun 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. This is the Cuban version. No, size has nothing to do with it. This is Mother Nature expressing itself. And the Dominican one, which we will refer to later. So now to play salsa, you need a native instrument. You need a European instrument, and you need an African instrument. If you take one of those elements out, it becomes a hybrid. It becomes Latin jazz, or it becomes whatever Carlos Santa Anna plays. He doesn't include native instruments, I don't think. He doesn't include plena. Does Santa Anna play plena? No, right? He play plena? Okay. We're going to go to the maraca. I'm sure you're very familiar with this one. But I'm using the single maraca the way the Taínos would have used it. They would use it for a ceremony called the areito, where everyone would gather at the beach. They would sing and dance for 2 or 3 days at a time. We know this because Queen Isabella, rabidly Catholic, sent people there to convert the natives. And they would write in the chronicles how these people would dance on the beach from sunset till sunup, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 days in a row. These heathens, semi-naked, on the beach in the Caribbean for 3 days. I mean, Catholics don't do that, do they? It's nice to be a heathen. And they would have what's called barbacoa, which is barbecue. Barbecue is a Taíno word. Hammock is a Taíno word. Hurricane is a Taíno word. Canoe is a Taíno word. So we're not speaking about a long lost tribe. They're very much with us. And DNA has also proven that they have not left us. Look at me. Do I look invisible to you? I'm palpable. So now we're going to go with the single maraca, the way the Taínos would have used it, and we're going to play something called a bomba. This is from Puerto Rico. Bomba has about 14 variations, 12, 14. You're adding up. 35 seises, aguinaldo, villancico, plena, 14 bombas. So Puerto Rico clocks into salsa with about easily 50 folklore, 50 plus 18 from Cuba. So we're approaching 85. Alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bomba José Inés. Alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bomba José Inés. Tú la bailas con Tete, yo la bailo con Inés. Alegría, 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 bomba alegría bomba otra vez. Alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bomba José Inés. Tú la bailas con Tete, yo la bailo con Inés. Tú la bailas con Tete, yo la bailo con Tete. Alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bomba bomba. Alegría, 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 bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bomba bomba. El negro la baila, el negro la goza, el negro la baila en la punta del pie. Alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bomba bomba. Oh, baila mi bomba, baila mi bomba, baila mi bomba, aunque tú tengas un grillete en el pie. Alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bajo y percusión. Un bajo de solo. Alegría bomba alegría bomba alegría bomba baila mi bomba José Inés. So, the name of the lecture is Salsa is Nuyorican, and I've given you the background. Now, for a musical genre to exist, it has to be supported.